I guess what I just don't appreciate is Nazis using the Lord's name in vain. I also don't appreciate Nazis putting anti-LGBT rhetoric in the Bible in 1946. I don't think using God's name in vain is saying, God damn it. I think using God's name in vain is what these Republican charlatan asshole Nazis are doing, where they're trying to use religion and God as a means of controlling others, putting them into basically indentured servitude, or straight up wiping them off the face of the earth. You know, I think that's using God's name in vain. Now, we know all at this point that these faux zealots, decades ago, they put anti-LGBT rhetoric in the Bible in 1946 in preparation for Alliance Defending Freedom, formerly Focus on the Family, a far-right religious group of zealots, faux zealots. They wanted to use that to control people and to marginalize communities, marginalize small defenseless communities. And they purposely added anti-LGBT rhetoric to the Bible in 1946 just to build up this system of half-truths that would support their narrative. So I'm not like a scholar or anything, but I would argue that after review of the past few years, I think I'm probably smarter than most people because like this sucks. Living in this fucking new hell on earth sucks. And I'll tell you why. Putin and Alliance Defending Freedom, you know, the faux zealots that are trying to take over our country, they know one thing together, and that's what joins them. That giving off the illusion that you are a pious or religious man is like the greatest trick you can pull and the best way to hold on to power and control, because people just acquiesce to that shit apparently. Our collective Achilles heel is getting duped by religious people. And I told you guys before, and gals and non-binaries, I've had an interaction with some sort of spiritual realm where I was told one word: persistence. So I'm not gonna just bow down and obey in advance to this obvious bullshit. Because what I've learned from, you know, being raised in a more religious home than most of y'all, and for the folks that were raised in a religious home, you know, maybe you can understand. But in general, I know that I was raised in a more religious home than most people viewing this video, most people that I interact with. The people that I saw engaging with religion when I was young were like one day a weekers, or they were, you know, obviously just putting on a show because that's what society wants. I had to live and breathe it 24/7 as a child, and sadly into my adulthood. And when I went to Texas Christian University, I realized that it was all just like this show in Texas. Like, it wasn't like real. They're just like Christianity, you know, like it was all for show. And, you know, sorry to call out Texans, but I mean, there's a lot of fucking charlatans and in Texas that, you know, just use it as a device, or as a control mechanism, as a way to make money, as a way to, you know, give themselves, you know, a fraction of a personality, or I don't know what it is. It's a whole mixture of things. I could write a thesis about it if I had the time. But what it brings me back to is that I don't think in the Bible originally, if there was originally a Bible that was written, ordained by God or nature, I don't think that they were talking about using the Lord's name in vain as like, God damn it, or Jesus Christ when you're pissed. I think what they're talking about using the Lord's name in vain is using God's name to bring genocide on people, or to, you know, do this holier than thou bit within, public education school systems to ban books, or, on the Congress floor, to, get legislation passed that keeps poor people under rich people's thumb, and do it in the name of religion or Christianity. I think that's using the Lord's name in vain, saying that, life needs to be run by this patriarchal, heteronormative, nuclear family, concept, which is complete bullshit. It takes a community to raise children. We were all children once, so you can't tell us without children that we don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because we were raised in this fucking shithole. We were raised in this fucking mess that y'all have created and you continue to perpetuate. We also have nieces and nephews and godchildren that we think about daily. And y'all have used this age-old system of control to make sure that people obey in advance because they're concerned about their livelihoods, they're concerned about their children, and they're not going to stand up and speak out against this fascist bullshit because they care about their immediate local situation and their families more than they care about the macro situation. Before they know it, it's too late, and the fascists have won, and they're getting washed over, and they're like, why didn't I do anything? Why didn't I stand up? And you guys try to say that you worship the same religion and God that I do? Fuck no. I am no longer religious. I do not practice organized religion. But I know that there is some sort of spiritual force out there, whether we want to call it nature, whether we want to call it God. I don't really care what the fuck you call it. But it ain't what I'm seeing now. You guys using God as a way to oppress marginalized communities, to force immigrants out of countries, put them in camps, widen wealth gaps, wage war. The type of rhetoric that you guys use, that's not fucking Christian. It may be your version of Christian now, but that's an abomination. That is no fucking Christian that I was raised with. The Christians that I was raised with, they were focused on humility and respect for themselves and for others, love. It was focused on, taking your shirt off your back for somebody if need be. You guys are taking everybody's shirts off, and you have all the shirts. Is that fucking Christian? I will die on this hill. What you guys represent is not Christianity. It may be religion, but that religion worships money, power, greed, and I ain't gonna get on board with that shit. You can never convince me in this lifetime that that is what God wants. And you guys might have been able to twist the words in the Bible over the years, and you might have been able to brainwash a bunch of uneducated people, but you can't fucking pull the wool over my fucking eyes. That is fucking hot garbage. I fucking denounce organized religion, and I denounce all you motherfuckers for fucking slandering the Lord's name in vain by going into other countries, killing civilians, lying to everybody, manipulating, using half-truths to get what you want, to enrich yourselves. These so-called Christian religious people that are trying to take over everything, they must think there is no God. Because if there is a hell or heaven after this, they ain't gonna be going to fucking heaven the way they're acting. They just aren't going to. They must think to themselves, there is no God, this is a joke, and we are going to fucking use this to just fucking control the shit out of everybody on this planet. They know that there is no God in their mind. They don't think there is one. They don't think there's going to be any accountability after this life. Most seemingly religious people in your eyes will think that there's no God. That's my deduction. I don't think that they do, because they wouldn't be acting like this. There's no fear of the Lord in their book. Like that might be what they preach, but in their hearts, they don't have any sort of fear of the Lord, because they're so far off what the Bible, in my opinion, calls for. The Bible called for people to be empathetic, sympathetic, caring, loving, accepting, And I see none of that coming from the religious right, Republicans, MAGA. I think it's all for fucking show. They do not want anything to do with the good aspects of the Bible, and they take all the bad, and then they try to just shove it down our fucking throats. Literally. And then they project on us saying that we're doing that with this woke culture because we want basic civil rights for everybody. We want kids to be able to eat during lunch at schools. We want people to be educated. We want them to be thriving and happy. And you want them sick, depressed, isolated. How is that fucking Christian? You guys are a bunch of fucking assholes is what you are.